and reshaping who we are and what we believe in whatever way we're inspired to. Like deconstruction of that picture, deconstruction of who we are, being willing to look at the picture in the first place and like, do you like what you see? Like, that's one of my favorite things to talk about that I feel like really fuels individual sovereignty is like, you hear a shit ton of stuff out there as far in the self-help space, as far as like, just do this. Or like one example that comes to mind that I was like contemplating on yesterday is like, say less. This was the advice that someone was like just living by, like, say less, like that's what you got to do. And I'm like, that feels like someone shoving a nasty, gross tube sock down my throat. And I resent you even trying to tell me that that is the connection I should make, because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the time limit off my live stream tomorrow, and I'm going to let myself say as many things as I want, just to show you that I am going to prioritize what feels good for me in my individual sovereignty. And I'm not going to take any information from the outside world and connect it into my grid without being conscious of what am I doing. And granted, like, we're not perfect. We're not trying to be perfect. There will be connections that get unconsciously made. And those are fascinating to like see yourself trying to make unconscious connections. Like when I do start bringing in these dots and thoughts back here that have so much to do with sexual healing, reclaiming a piece of me that I was taught is bad and wrong and shameful and makes me less than, makes me unworthy, is embarrassing, is humiliating. I'm talking about my sexuality. Like, to be taught that pretty much my whole childhood, all of these dots behind me, like pretty much my whole sexuality's in the shadows. So my layers of knowingness, like I'm getting all of these dots that like my intuition knows. I can feel the fantasy of wanting full free expression, but my layers of knowingness, the path of least resistance, I can't see how that's coming. Like I can't see how all of this connects, like meaning I don't know what to do. Like I don't think there really is even anything to do. I think the action will unfold in its own time, and in the meantime it's just continuing to let it come. Like let one little dot come into your awareness that you didn't have before. Like this path has been unfolding my whole life probably, but the first dot that landed back there was October, November of 2022, when I had a series of experiences in the astral, is what I say, where I met someone. I met their soul in the astral, and I know this person, like our souls merged in the astral, and it happened like 6-7 times all in the span of a couple months. And then like radio silence for like still kind of, I haven't met up with them in the astral since then. And like that was dot number one back here, like this fantasy version of like totally free expression, like 100% free expression, uninhibited by my body and the history of shame and trauma that is stored in my body when I was out of my body and in the astral with this person. Like there was none of that. And it was the purest love that I've ever felt in my entire life. And that's dot number one. And it was over here. So then the other dots that start coming, like the next one that I got, and I just really am not ready to tell this whole story someday. But the next one that I got was so funny because as I'm over here, like trying to figure out like what is this random dot, like all the way on the other side of the room, as I'm like kind of, just in the back of my mind, like, what is that? What is that? What is that? Then, and this didn't connect for quite a while, like, then here's this other dot that's like all the way over there. That's like, it's in one of my other big shadow territories, which is my fear of being a parent. And here comes this dot, like over there in that region, and eventually they connect. And I'm like, oh my God, like a whole new world literally is like what is opening up. And the layers of knowingness, the frustration of not being able to see the future and see like, how is this all going to unfold? Because I'm terrified of both of these things. And that's why it's in my shadow. That's why I've lived 35 years on this planet and left that shit locked in the closet because it's scary. And now here we go. Here we go. The dots and thoughts, they're like popping in. And my Sagittarius self and this Neptune and Pisces of our deep, intuitive knowing, you know, on some level, like when you have that frustration of like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how this is going to unfold. It's like, that is your brain talking. That's your thoughts. That's only one layer of your knowingness. And if you drop underneath that even like a millimeter, get down in your body, get in your dreams, get in your intuition, get in your heart, get in your fantasies, tell me you don't know what this is. Tell me you don't know where this is coming from. Like, of course you do. This is your dreams coming true, and stop talking yourself out of it. That's what's coming to me, and that is a beautiful segue into another thing that I've been practicing lately that feels like it was all just so I could tell you guys here is another superpower of this Sagittarius energy. And before I do this, I do want to lay in that like I have the blessing and the curse. All blessings are curses. All curses are blessings. This is my own personal belief. I have the blessing slash curse of having all four of the mutable signs activated in my natal chart, including some exact squares between my Gemini and my Virgo Pisces energy. And then also my Sag and my Pisces, like they're pretty close. And so anyways, I say all of that to say the intuitive download of your own personal truth can be one of the most exhilarating, tantalizing, delicious, scandalous adventures you've ever been on if you don't talk yourself out of it. Like, you think about like your fantasies, the things that feel ridiculous to even speak out loud because like it's a fantasy. Like that's the whole point of a fantasy. Like if you thought it was possible, it'd be called a goal. Fantasy. Fantasy is like out there. But what if with enough openness and like that Gemini receptivity of letting the dots and thoughts one at a time show themselves and not making it mean something, like the Sagittarius energy, when it's unconscious, it's making meaning in whatever way you were basically brainwashed, like the cult in culture. Like we're all essentially growing up in cults. It's called our modern culture, and it teaches us what's right and what's wrong. And so when we make meaning and we come to meaning unconsciously, it is whatever meaning we've been programmed to believe. And so this Gemini new moon, I see us receiving new dots and thoughts that will, like, in their existence in our consciousness, they will form contradictions with the meaning we've already made. They will force us to detach from certain beliefs that we've already formed. They will, and in letting go of those beliefs, that is how you let go of your limits. That's how you transcend your limits. And that's part of why we can't see the path right now, because like if you could see it, you would start applying your thinking. You'd start planning it out. You'd start making preparations. You'd get a backup plan for your plan. Like it's like all of those old tendencies, all of those like programmed responses, none of that is how we're making the leap into transcending our limitations and living this truly free expression of who we are, the truth of who we are. Surpassing those limits is going to have to, you know, like how does that saying go? It's like the thinking that created the problem can't solve the problem. So the limits that are there, the beliefs that are there, making meaning unconsciously, we're staying within those limits. We're staying inside the beliefs we already have. And I feel all of this, these brand new dots that are so far flung, they they bust open our beliefs. They like make it so you can't help but be like, no, but I want to connect that dot because that dot all by itself feels so good, but a disconnected dot, it's like it's nearly impossible to embody that energy because the energy that we embody is being supported and affirmed and like fortified, reinforced. That's the what I yeah, the energy that we're embodying is being reinforced by the structures of our lives. And the structures of our lives reflect the belief system that we have. And the belief system is how we've connected all the dots. So if you have a brand new dot that feels great, right? Like this dot feels amazing. Like I think I'm a tantrika. That feels like a huge relief in my system, even though I have no fucking clue what it means. How do I embody? How do I like own? Oh, I'm a tantric. Like, how do I do that? I have to start connecting that dot. I have to make it mean something in the structures of my everyday life. And where do you begin? Where do you begin? Layers of knowingness. You take what you know so far and you give thanks at how much more it is than yesterday. You give thanks that I even have these random little dots that aren't hooked up to anything. They feel really cool and I wish I had them hooked in. But I think even the fact that they're here means that more dots are coming to help those connections get made and more of a process is unfolding. Like even the fact that I have a brand new dot is telling me the process is unfolding. It's happening. So as often as we can, like I'm feeling very much like this like Mercury and Gemini and Uranus and Taurus, where Mercury is more our conscious thinking, like our thoughts in our head every single day. Like I heard a stat the other day, who knows if this is true, that said on average humans think 60,000 thoughts a day. That's like incredible. So this is Gemini, dots and thoughts, 60,000 of them a day. And Sagittarius is over here like a crazy person trying to draw a string between like everything that it possibly can to like keep us sane, to digest what it is to be human and to let go of everything that isn't you, leaving it there for somebody else. And this process is happening. This Mercury and Gemini, the thoughts that we have, they want so desperately to catch up. But that's where I'm saying, like, layers of knowingness, when you sink into your body, and, you know, right now, Uranus is in Taurus, Uranus being the planet of our higher mind, kind of our higher self, like our more like our crown chakra, like pulling infinite intelligence and divine individual essence into ourselves, for contemplation in our conscious mind. That higher mind, kind of like the head center and the ajna center in human design, where like the ajna is how you think about things, how you solve problems, how you know, solve the puzzle of whatever's in your brain. And the head center, the crown chakra, is how does whatever's in your brain get in your brain? How do you get inspired with a question? Like, how do you end up deciding that you're so fascinated by this one transit, this one 18-month transit, that you need to record almost 8 hours worth of content? How the fuck does that happen? How do you become obsessed? What is that? What is that energy? You know, like, is it an accident? I don't think so. I don't know. I'm sitting over here with my Gemini energy, chewing up and spitting out one obsession after another my whole life, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. And I tell you what, those obsessions, those hungry devouring of new information all the time, and then going through phases where I'm obsessed with this thing, and then it's this thing, and then it's this thing. All of that puts dots and thoughts all over my map. And then my Sagittarius, my true self, my higher self is connecting all of that together to form who I really am. You know, like Uranus, our divine individuality, like who you really are, the most authentic version of who you really are. And right now, that Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, our body, our five senses, our right here, right now, momentary sensory experience that can only be felt right now, right now, right now. The heartbeat that is right now, Taurus. And I think the connection that I'm feeling here is this layers of knowingness. Like, even though Mercury may feel a little bit out of the loop, you may feel like, I have all this information. I have no fucking clue what to do with it. Now I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And now we're like sitting on the floor as our 6-year-old self, pouting because we don't know what to do. And while we're doing that, we're not doing the natural process of letting it all connect. Let it happen. The dot being there means the connection is imminent. Some dots connect faster than others because some dots have more connection points to work with, right? Like the path of least resistance. And I think, you know, for me, like, let's just say that I manifested my fantasy thing, I would have run screaming to the hills. Like, I would have been a hard no. Our fixed energy, we say no before we say yes. I would have ran the fuck away as fast as I possibly could have, because that fantasy, to get there, to get to that particular mountaintop, you have to walk through the shadow of fear a bunch. And to just get dropped into the deep end of the pool is a cruel thing that the universe would never, the Great Mother would never do that to us. The Great Mother would give us the dots and the thoughts, you know, the path of least resistance that lets it connect in a way where we can get ourselves up to speed at a speed of Uranus and Taurus, being that, like, you know, our nervous systems, our physical bodies are a very dense frequency. And for us to ascend, that ascension happens inside the human body. So, in order to reach, I love Uranus and Taurus because in order to reach our higher mind, our higher self, our infinite intelligence, our connection with infinite intelligence, it really is a practice of sinking on a tail end of a cold. Thank you for bearing with me. Sinking, what a note to do that on. Sinking as deeply into your body as you can, feeling the sensations of your body, whether that be the desire for a deep breath or the desire to swallow, the tickle in your throat that wants to be coughed out. Like, when I really sink into meditation, when I really sink into my body, number one, I know I got there when I start moving, which is funny because they say when you meditate, like, you're sinking into stillness. And for me, that's not true. I know I'm doing it right when spirit starts like luxuriating in what it is to have a neck. That's what this is. Like, and I'll get like little teeny little pops of just like let myself feel what it is to be inside this body. And when we sink into our body, when we calm our mind, when we allow ourselves to connect Taurus to our feminine, our body, what is the natural world, we find something that, like, even the archetype of Uranus being the higher mind, like it's out there, it's up there, infinite intelligence, God, it's up there, it's out there, the higher mind, bringing it in, bringing it in. And when you really sink into your body and you feel God, is like, for me, it sits like at the base, this area that is the base of my spine, my root, sacral, solar plexus, spleen. Like, it's kind of like this whole area. I was in a wealth retreat by Laura Waldman called the Free Wealth Retreat that she ran here recently, and she called it the wealth womb. And it's an energetic space. I talked about it a little bit in the latest Aries North Node video that I released yesterday, where, like, call it whatever you want. It's the center of our life force energy. And it's not out there. It's in here. It's inside the base of your being, Kundalini, like snaking up out of the base of your being, the higher mind. What if the higher mind is in your gut? What if the higher mind is this base of you? It's not up there, it's in here at the deepest level. Like I've said many times, I am a mermaid, and I figured that out through a 3-month long hibernation where I felt like I was just lost in the ocean, where nobody else was there with me. I was by myself in this hibernation. I was kind of catatonic. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I didn't talk to anybody. I just binge watched Criminal Minds, and I took naps for like 3 months. I've talked a lot about this on my channel. There's lots of videos where I reference this. And I felt like I was lost in the ocean. And when I, like, basically, I realize now what I was doing was swimming, like kind of allowing myself to sink into the depths of what is truly inside of me. And really, even then, I was only scratching the surface. But I say I'm a mermaid because I figured out that actually, like, when you swim down into the depths of you, which, your body, your soul, like, I found that, it's kind of one and the same, the well sinking into your body. As you do that, you're facing things that your soul is showing you, like the demons at the gate kind of thing that keep us out of our soul, keep us out of our body, the stored trauma and pain and wounds unhealed that live there. And as I sank into this, I found that, like, you can swim down in there, and at the bottom of your body, and this is what I'm saying, like at the base of my body, there is a portal. And it really does feel like you swam down, and then it's a portal, and then you come out and you're in your soul. And another way that I've heard this talked about, and this is how I understand what that is that this is the individual by individual transition that our collective is making to the new earth. Like, essentially, sinking down into your full embodiment such that you find the portal to your soul. And now you're living from the soul side. And that's not to say you don't sleepwalk your way back up out of all of this and you got to swim back down in, get reconnected. But living from your soul, that's the new earth. And there's a lot of people already populating the new earth. Like, this is not a one and done kind of thing, just like the age of Aquarius. Like, this is an individual by individual awakening that is happening. And these new dots and thoughts that are coming during the Gemini new moon, they are absolutely 1,000,000,000,000% supporting us in this transition of being able to live more fully from our soul, in more of the structures of our life around us, reinforcing who we really are. And remember, the structures of our life around us, Capricorn, are based on our beliefs, Sagittarius. Our beliefs are based on the way we've connected all the dots and thoughts that we've ever absorbed, Gemini. So this beautiful energy that is absolutely supporting us, that is bringing us reflections that show us either how we've connected dots in the past, that maybe we don't want to connect those dots like that anymore. You know, when we sink into our body and then we consider something like masturbation is evil, like that, like literally is just fucking hilarious to me that like the church ever got people to believe that, but they did. And that is part of our culture. And now we're waking back up and we get to decide through what it feels like in our body, right? Like through what feels good to us, what resonates to us, we get to decide, what do you want to believe? You can believe anything you want. Look at all the cults out there. Look at all the people believing all kinds of things. None of it's wrong. And if anything, it paints this picture that like you can believe whatever you want and nobody can stop you. Belief is a powerful thing. Powerful in the sense that, like, again, what you believe controls the structures of your life. And the structures of your life reinforce the energy that you embody on a daily basis. And the energy that you embody on a daily basis, back in Gemini, you're attracting new dots and thoughts into your experience based on the energy you're embodying. And it goes back through the cycle. So, this is a time of really getting to decide for yourself, for your own personal sovereignty, what do you believe is true? You know, and if the universe is bringing you some truths that are maybe brand new dots and thoughts that you've never worked with before, and you feel like a brand new beginner, Gemini energy supports that too, because it has the gumption to be a beginner. Like, I want to read you 26 degree Sabian symbol. I'll link this in the description afterwards. I don't always look these up, but I really wanted to on this one for whatever reason, and I definitely wanted to pepper it in here. Okay. So where this new moon is happening, 26 degrees Gemini. Also a good place to note to look at where Gemini falls in your own chart. If you do use houses on your chart, if you have your birth time, whatever house system you use is fine by me. What house is this happening in? And that this could tell you something as far as like what this Sabian symbol is talking about. The Sabian symbol for 26 degrees Gemini is a young gypsy emerging from the woods, gazes at far cities. And so that is the symbol. And then the rest of this description kind of helps us understand like how much this one little phrase is really saying. So this symbol shows that there is a desire to attempt or achieve something that is at times far off or out of reach. Fantasy. Like far off city over there. Like, can I really have it? Is it an oasis? Does it even exist? Who am I to want this? It takes courage to be something of a foreigner or an outcast. and still venture out into society, seeking its rewards and enticements. Perhaps you don't have financial resources or conventional accreditation behind you. It could be the constraints of friends and family that are holding you back from being able to strike out on your own. Wanting and trying to participate, even when you don't initially command respect or acceptance, is difficult, but with perseverance, rewarding. A place to truly call home needs to be found. Set your sights high and go for it. That's funny because I didn't remember that, but like that message while I was on my way over here, I just was like in this thing of like, fucking go for it, fucking go for it, fucking go for it, fucking go for it. Like I was just like ready, ready to give myself as much time and space as I wanted because it's just for whatever feels good. It's just for fun. It's just for whatever energy wants to move through my body, it can. And so there's two different, like with anything, there's a light side of this energy and there's a dark side of this energy. So I am going to share that too. The light side, which is kind of funny. Well, maybe not. Let's see. When I read it earlier, I was like, how is that the light side? But we'll see how I interpret it now on the leading edge. Maybe I have more dots and thoughts that this can connect to. So the light side is dreaming of being a part of something far off or bigger, lessons to be streetwise, new perspectives arising from larger realities, striking out on one's own, and corporate realities. Yeah, so lots of symbolism. And I think especially the new perspectives arising from larger realities, like that feels so exactly what's happening here when I say, these dots and thoughts that are coming, like this is what I've been working with so far. And then here's this one, and then here's this one. And it's like the world is getting bigger. And that's okay. That's okay. And it is a little bit scary, but it's also exciting. And so this is the dark side of the Sabian symbol is dissatisfaction and looking elsewhere, kind of like what I was saying about insatiability. Like you're sitting on a mountain of gold and you're like, I need more gold. I need more gold. I need more gold. Kind of being on the lopsided, like just Gemini side where you're not really digesting on the Sagittarius side, like using the gold, spending the gold to go have fun experiences, to go like you broaden your horizons and do new things that you can afford now because you have more gold. And so then like you experience it and that gives you new dots and thoughts. And now you have more gold and now you go spend it, like on and on and on. It's a cycle. So if you're only on that Gemini side, dissatisfaction and looking elsewhere, feelings of not belonging, being in limbo, that feeling of like, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what's happening. I don't know how this is going to unfold. Feeling alienated, abandonment of home and family, AKA other people feeling like you're leaving them behind and they're sad about it. Maybe you're sad about it too. That would be totally normal. Restrictions and limits of activity. We were talking all about limits and how your beliefs basically become the limits of your reality. So if you believe masturbation is evil and that you're going to hell if you masturbate, God sees you, it's like, yeah, you probably won't do that. That's the limit of your activity. And so shifting your belief takes the limit off your activity and gives you access to a whole new world. So, like, for example, believing my sexuality is shameful, believing that it's bad or wrong or ugly or dirty or gross or embarrassing or anything, that like believing that has been this limit to my activity. And reworking these beliefs, like going through healing this sexual shame, cutting the threads between these dots, it is removing the limit from my activity. And the more of this that I do, the more limits I remove, the more dots and thoughts are fucking popping up like all over the place. And I just keep hearing Aladdin. It's a whole new world, a magical world full of wonders you never knew. I don't know if those are the words. It's pretty close. It's a whole new world. Aries North Node, a whole new plane of existence. To be human is to have plane after plane of existence opening to you. And we get to experience it. We are the pioneers of ourselves. We get to be alive. We're here right now. And it's pretty freaking incredible.